the invisible barrier to playing football for the Hong Kong national team.
I don't really think
Many
it's
girls in
the
Hong
best
Kong,
role
like
because
Maddie
that
and
means
Kaela,
that
have been selected and later rejected from the Hong Kong national team because they don't have a Hong Kong passport. This is a problem for these girls because in order to get a Hong Kong passport, one has to renounce their nationalities and be able to say that they're only from Hong Kong and nowhere else. These rules don't work quite well with FIFA because FIFA's rule is that players have to have a passport of the country they're playing for. We are going to be interviewing Maddie, Kaela, Kaela's dad, and Andrea, a player for the Hong Kong national football team, and seeing how their opinions differ. What do you think about FIFA's rule about having to have a passport of the country you're playing for?
I don't really think it's the best rule because that means that a lot of girls can't play football and don't have the opportunity.
In my opinion, because I have the Hong Kong ID card and I've lived here all my life and I was born here, I think it's a bit ridiculous.
It's really important that players come from the countries that they want to represent. I think in Hong Kong we have a very unique situation where you can have overseas players that are actually born in Hong Kong but are not eligible for a passport. So I think the FIFA rule is fair, but I think it could be managed better.
Me not having a passport means I can't play, whereas if I have all the cards and I've lived here and I was born here and I speak like half the language, I can't play. It's just quite ridiculous in my opinion.
So even if someone were born and raised in Hong Kong, they cannot get a Hong Kong passport unless they renounce their other nationalities. With minors, this requires one of the parents to renounce their country's passport to obtain a Hong Kong passport so that their child can get one. How does this problem affect you or your family?
It affects me because when I tried out for the Hong Kong team, I couldn't play for them because I didn't have a passport.
So I went for trials with the Hong Kong team and I got accepted and I played with them for 2 years, but I could only play in friendly games.
I have an older daughter that plays football for KCC and she was selected to represent the Hong Kong national team, but because she wasn't able to get a Hong Kong passport, she could not play in official FIFA sanctioned tournaments.
My dad spent a long time trying to see why we couldn't get a passport, and you had to have Hong Kong ancestry behind you with the Chinese blood and everything. But in order for me to get it, I'd have to renounce my passport, get the Hong Kong passport, and get my passport back. But I can only do this when I'm 18, so it's very frustrating.
How do you feel about not being able to get a Hong Kong passport unless you give up your other passports?
I think it's really upsetting.
It's extremely frustrating.
I think the ruling is quite unfair.
It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort.
I think the ability for players to certainly represent a country they were born in is important.
It's expensive.
But obviously there are rules and they're in place to stop countries and teams from taking unfair advantages. So I find it very frustrating.
And it's really sad, yeah.
And I can't do it till I'm 18, because you have to be an adult.
Okay.
Let's bring in another perspective. Andrea has been playing for the Hong Kong team for 2 years and has recently been awarded for Most Valuable Player playing against Guam in one game of the AFC tournament. She was featured in the South China Morning Post Young Post for this. When you joined the Hong Kong team, did you already have a Hong Kong passport?
Yes, I did have a Hong Kong passport because I was born in Hong Kong and I was raised up in here.
Are you aware of the fact that even if someone were born and raised in Hong Kong, they can't get a Hong Kong passport unless they give up their other passports? How does this make you feel?
I feel like this rule is really unfair because even though they might not be born in Hong Kong, they still might have the talent and be really good at football, but they still can't play for the Hong Kong team and represent Hong Kong.
Do you think you would have made it this far if you didn't have a Hong Kong passport? How does this affect you or your family?
I wouldn't have made it this far without my Hong Kong passport because with that passport, I can attend the trainings and travel with the Hong Kong team to different countries like China, etc. This doesn't really affect my family, but I do get to go on a lot of trips and tournaments.
All of these perspectives had all but one thing in common, and this was family. Maddie, Kaela, and Adrian all agree that this has affected their family in some way, but Andrea begs to differ. As she is already a player for the Hong Kong team and had a Hong Kong passport long before she joined the team, she doesn't have a problem relating her Hong Kong passport to the national team. Until the Hong Kong government changes its laws on the Hong Kong passport, all we can do is hope that girls with this problem will one day fulfill their hopes and dreams in becoming a professional football player for Hong Kong.